Hey friends, it's Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rachel Terry and I am the author of 4 young adult fantasy books. Information will be in the description box down below if you're interested. Today I thought I would make an updated version of my comparing proof copy video Amazon versus IngramSpark. That video is apparently quite popular and I think it's helped a lot of people, but I wanted to do an updated version because time has passed since then and I've ordered more copies from both companies than I did back then. So I feel like I have a little bit more information to work with and my opinions on some things may have changed. So why I had to wait so long to make this video was because I just got in my copies of A Tale of Two Sisters from IngramSpark. This is my 4th upcoming novel. It releases on October 30th, which means that you can't get to this book right now, and this is why I'm making this video. I had to buy all of my copies of this book from IngramSpark because I wanted to have some copies to sell at the last farmers market of the season, which is before the release date. Just as a little added incentive, people can get the book early if they buy it from me in person. So I had to buy these copies from IngramSpark because Amazon proof copies come with a band across them. Let me show you what I mean in case you're not familiar. I don't currently have a proof copy from Amazon for A Tale of Two Sisters. I gave that to a friend to read, but I do have one for The Phoenix and the Crown, which is the companion novel for A Tale of Two Sisters. As you can see, there is a band that goes across the cover here that says "Not for Resale." This is what comes on all of Amazon's proof copies. It is what lets you know that it is in fact a proof copy or an ARC copy. These cannot be resold. And I don't like having this bar here on the one hand because it conceals the cover and it's kind of ugly looking. On the other hand, I have heard that some authors had problems when they gave out physical ARCs to ARC readers, of the ARC readers then turning around and selling them, which is a big no-no. In case you didn't know, you're not supposed to do that. And if you have a bar across the cover here so blatantly, that would inform potential buyers that no, this is not for resale. So because I wanted copies of A Tale of Two Sisters to sell early, I had to buy them from IngramSpark because IngramSpark does not have this band. This is a proof copy of IngramSpark, and even now just looking in the camera I can tell there's a difference. Let me get an actual Amazon copy without the band. So this is Amazon and this is IngramSpark, and I can already tell just from this distance that there is a difference in color. I don't know if you guys can tell, but to me it looks like the IngramSpark copy is so much more vibrant, and holding them up in person I don't think it really looks like that big of a difference. One thing I have noticed for sure is there is definitely a bigger difference in quality in terms of color variety on the Amazon copies. There's more of a variance in color, and whenever I upload my cover files into IngramSpark, it tells me something about color profiles. To be honest, I don't understand it myself. It's some sort of warning telling you that it might misprint. I always say, you know, whatever, I'll take the risk, and I decline it because every time it's been fine and I trust my cover designer to know what she's doing and it doesn't really matter. But I noticed that the IngramSpark copies have less variations in the color and they do seem to be a bit more vibrant, especially when you put them in the sun. The covers themselves feel very similar. So the Amazon copy is thicker than the IngramSpark copy. I don't know if you can tell. This is the Amazon one and this is the IngramSpark one. IngramSpark just feels looser than Amazon. It's a little bit more stiff. I'm not holding them the same way, but Amazon copies are a little bit more stiff. They have a slight line that runs down the side. This is probably not the best one to show because all my covers except Two Sisters are so dark, but there is a slight line here. There is no line on IngramSpark. IngramSparks just feel more like TradPub paperbacks to me. I definitely like the IngramSpark copies better. The paper is, I love it. It's thinner than the Amazon ones, but I just think that they flip easier. They're not as tight. That might be something to do with the binding. With Amazon copies, you can tell they're a little stiffer. That's just maybe a personal preference thing. I mean, they read the same way. I just think that IngramSpark uses maybe a higher quality paper, but I do like how thick the Amazon copies are, and I think I might have mentioned that in my last video. So there's a comparison for The Phoenix and the Crown. I do have Amazon and IngramSpark for Lightbringer, which I think you can see a bit of color variance here. The IngramSpark copy has a bit more of a pink tinge to it, and the Amazon copy has more yellow. One thing I have noticed with the Amazon copies, like even the batches that I ordered, some of them will have more pink tinges to them than others, and that's just one of those color variety things I was talking about. But yeah, you can definitely tell IngramSpark is a little bit more loose. Amazon is a little bit stiff and it makes noise when you shake it. And then we have Amazon Flameseeker, IngramSpark Flameseeker. I think maybe the covers on IngramSpark are slightly more smooth. I really just like the way they feel and the way that they look. IngramSpark copies, however, are more expensive. They're not a great deal more expensive, but it does add up. So for the farmer's market, I ordered 50 copies of Lightbringer, 50 copies of The Phoenix and the Crown, and 25 copies of Flameseeker because it's a sequel, and I feel like if half as many people buy both books as just book one, that's pretty good. And then with A Tale of Two Sisters, I bought 10 copies from IngramSpark, and they all printed the same, and they all arrived undamaged. They were in a large box with like some bubble wrap type stuff, and they all were undamaged. So let's talk about printing errors and damage, because I know a lot of authors have had problems with this. They all printed fine. There was nothing that I could see that was a mistake. The one thing that does irritate me, and it's not a big deal because you can still read it, but on the map in these 10 copies that I bought, the bottom text here for the Erlon Monastery is kind of cut off. I don't know if you can see that or not, but what happened with that was whenever you upload a book to IngramSpark, they send you an e-proof and they want you to download it and look it over and then approve it if everything looks okay. And only once you've done that can you purchase proof copies. For some reason, my downloaded proof was showing me that the map did not extend all the way to the edge of the page. So if you're not familiar with book formatting, this is called a bleed feature, and in a PDF, it's when you want your image to extend all the way to the edge of the page. I'm thinking about doing a book formatting video on how I do all of that, so I'll go more into that in that video, but basically the proof was showing me that this picture, this page, didn't go all the way to the bottom, so there would be a white space at the bottom of this page. And so I dragged the map down to try to get that out of there, and apparently I dragged it a little too far. I noticed there was a difference when I downloaded the e-proof on my PC as opposed to my laptop. I don't know why that would be, but I tried it because I remember thinking I never had this much problem with my e-proof and this formatting before, and looking at the PDF, the document in Word, there's no white space, so I don't know what's going on. So that irritated me a little bit, but it's not that big of a deal. I will fix it for future versions, but at least you can still read it with this. Now, let's talk about problems I've had with Amazon. Firstly, I do want to say though that regardless whichever company you buy from, my experience has been that I have had to clean each one of these before I gave them to people or sold them. I think Amazon is a little bit more dirty, but I just had to clean them all off because I'm not comfortable giving people dirty books. IngramSpark kind of surprised me that their covers felt a little bit gritty when I first got them, and so I had to wash all of those as well. I just go over them with a damp washcloth and then dry them with a towel. I find that Amazon covers are a bit more dirty than the IngramSpark ones in my opinion, and that's not a self-publishing thing. I've ordered books new from Amazon and they come just as dirty. So I don't know what happens. I don't know if it's something at the printer. I don't know if it gets dirty in transit, but it is quite frustrating. And another thing that I've noticed is that there will be smudges on these covers. You can't always see them until you turn them just right in the light, but they will be there and you will be able to see them, and I just wash those off. Usually if you just smudge at them with a damp washcloth, they'll come right off. But that is an extra step and it's a lot of books to have to clean, but it is what it is. The only major huge misprint issue that I've had so far has come from Amazon, and it was like 8 copies of Lightbringer that I ordered earlier this year or last year, and what happened was there were 2 that were just shorter than they should have been. All of my books, all of my paperbacks are 8 inches by 5 1/4 inches. That's the trim size of these paperbacks. And for some reason, those 2 copies of Lightbringer were like 1/2 inch short. It was just chopped off. I don't know what happened there, but I was not going to sell those. I was not going to use those. So I just sent them back to Amazon and got a refund. But it was annoying. I haven't had any major damage issues. I made notes when all of these books first arrived, Lightbringer, Flameseeker, and the Phoenix and the Crown, when they all arrived, I took stock of them, and I did make a note that one binding of Flameseeker was messed up. I'm not sure exactly what I mean by that now. I don't know if it had like a wrinkle in it or something. One Flameseeker had a page that got bent and the book was shut, and that was really annoying because that paper is hard to get flattened because it's been crushed and smashed between the covers, and then it just reinforced by all the other books that are in the package. So that was frustrating. That was, I think, a packaging issue, not so much a printing issue. And then another thing that happened with my Amazon copies is I had one copy of The Phoenix and the Crown with a puncture in the front cover. It wasn't that noticeable or that major, but it did go all the way through. It was like a push on it and it would go in. I did not sell that copy. I had it donated to one of those little free libraries because I don't feel comfortable charging somebody for a damaged book. So those have been my biggest damage issues. Thank God I haven't had a cover that was bent. That's always the risk you run with paperbacks. As far as the spines go, the tops and the bottoms can roll. Usually the tops more than anything. Or the corners can get smashed and bent. I haven't had that too much. Obviously with the rolling, that's just something that happens to all of the copies eventually. My IngramSpark copies, which I use to make marketing reels and stuff, like, they've gotten a little bit rolled as I've used them, but these are just my like marketing copies, my display copies. I don't read these. I just happened to think one thing that I did forget to mention about the bleed feature is that Amazon's quality control over time is not the most reliable. I haven't ordered as many copies from IngramSpark obviously as I have from Amazon. There's just been no need for me to, so I don't know if this same issue would arise eventually if you keep ordering copies from IngramSpark, but I have noticed that some copies of Flameseeker in particular that I ordered months ago had the bleed feature working correctly. The map extended all the way to the edge of the page like it's supposed to, but in recent copies that I ordered, it didn't, and there was a white space. Let me check, see if this has it in it. Yeah, it does. Okay, hopefully this shows up on camera. Let's see. I don't know if you can see that, but this does not extend all the way to the edge like it's supposed to, so there is a white space there, and there's just nothing that I can do about that. I don't know why it's happening either, because I did not change my file. I have not edited this. That was the final file. That was a PDF. I've not touched it. And yet it printed perfectly fine months ago, and now all of a sudden it won't. And that's just something frustrating with the bleed feature with Amazon's quality control that I've noticed. I don't know if this is an issue with IngramSpark because I've not ordered as many copies from them, but it's frustrating and it's not my fault, and there's absolutely nothing I can do about it because I have not changed those files. Nothing has been edited at all. I don't know if you extended the image well beyond the borders of the page, if it would never do this, or if it would still just glitch out and occasionally misprint. I really don't know. But you have to have the images on the page, or else why do it? You can't extend it so far that what you want to be on the page wouldn't even be there anymore. And Amazon gives you guidelines. When you upload your manuscript, it shows you the little guidelines, and everything could be perfectly fine and within those, and it could still not print correctly. So if you are up in the air about whether or not you wanted to do the bleed feature or not, personally, I love it when it works well. When it doesn't, it's frustrating because there is nothing beyond a certain point that you could do about it. So if you don't want to bother with the bleed feature, I would completely understand, and obviously if you didn't, then you wouldn't run into this issue, but that's something that I've noticed with the bleed feature and ordering more copies through Amazon over time. Overall, I definitely like IngramSpark's better. As far as shipping goes, Amazon is quicker. They have gotten a lot quicker lately. This last batch of proof copies that I ordered came very quickly, and I was very happy about that. They arrived in like less than a week. Now, there is a local printing hub, I guess you would call it, in my state, so it's not like they have to come a super far distance, but even so, I was kind of impressed by that. I wanted to make sure that my IngramSpark copies of Two Sisters arrived in time for the last farmer's market, so I picked standard ground shipping instead of just basic shipping. So not only did I get a tracking number this time, but they arrived within a week, I think, of being shipped. So they definitely had time to spare, and I'm very happy about that. I would say overall, I think the cost difference between Amazon and IngramSpark proof copies is $1, maybe a little more than that. So not a lot, but it does add up. And obviously the longer your book, the more pages that you have, the more expensive your proof copies are going to be. So yeah, I think that's everything. If you have any questions, that's something that I may have missed, that you're curious about that's different between the two copies, leave it in the comments down below and I will try to answer it as best that I can. I would have to say overall, I definitely like the IngramSpark copies the best. They just feel nice. They flip really nice. They're not as stiff. They feel more like floppy paperbacks, like TradPub paperbacks. I haven't yet ordered any hardcovers from IngramSpark, so that would be another difference that I'd be eager to explore. I've only done hardcovers through Amazon, but if I get a book with a dust jacket cover, I will definitely compare the two because IngramSpark can do dust jackets where Amazon can't, at least for now. And I do kind of have a plan for that for the future, so that would be another interesting comparison to explore. But for now, those are the differences. I'm not sure that they're enough of a difference to warrant the higher cost of buying all of your proof copies from Ingram. They're nice to have without a bar in case you need that early for marketing or whatever. But if you're going to sell books at in-person events like farmers markets or signings or whatever, I don't really know that there's enough of a difference between the two to make me pick one or the other. I'm going to go with Amazon copies because they are cheaper. And right now, I need to save money wherever I can because I'm not making any money from this yet. So that's why I bought all of my farmers market copies from Amazon where I could, with the exception of Two Sisters, and that's just because it's not out yet. So yeah, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. There you have it. If you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. My name is Rachel Terry. I'm the author of 4 young adult fantasy books, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!